No such thing is true, and the characterization is false. Let's clean the whole place up. Let's criminalize. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. B, Dr. B Addiction Recovery, and the topic I want to discuss today is Philadelphia Zombieland, or otherwise known as Ground Zero, Land of Zombies, Zombie Drug. I want to address these connotations briefly here in this video. As we get started, I do want to remind you, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Please go ahead and like the channel if you're so inclined, and don't forget us on Patreon. Let's get started. I have been away for a little while and videos haven't been coming, so I apologize about that, and this issue is a little bit late on the scene, but I think it is just as important as ever. Over the last few months, as Trank Dope made its way into the national spotlight, it also brought out Kensington, Philadelphia as sort of this place where this kind of thing was happening, and there was people on the street and people were dying on the street from this stuff and so forth. The characterization in social media and the news, by whether it's the newscasters or even the physicians or the public health folks discussing this issue, was calling Kensington, Philadelphia Zombieland. Another characterization was Ground Zero. In addition, we saw a lot of characterization of the victims of Trank Dope on the streets as zombies. And to that effect, we started to see a lot of videos on social media, and these were sort of tailored to promote the idea that these guys were walking around like zombies. Whether it was the editing of the video, the music in the background, or showing somebody limping along in some sort of a mechanical zombified way. And this is what I started to see all over YouTube. You get the picture. No such thing is true, and the characterization is false and dangerous. Let's take a look at the characterization of Kensington, Philadelphia, and what actually is Kensington, Philadelphia. They're calling it Zombieland, they're calling it Ground Zero. What do you usually call Ground Zero? A place where an infection broke out, maybe the place where a nuclear bomb dropped, right? So this is not a pretty thing. This is a place that has been de-skeletonized, dehumanized, and it is contaminated and no longer of any worth, value, or one should take any effort to rehabilitate that physical place. That is what Zombieland or Ground Zero really implies in our collective culture. What actually is Kensington, Philadelphia? It's a city. It's in Philadelphia. It has been the center of industry and really very productive blue-collar manufacturing for over 100 years. And the product changed over time, but that is what it always was until it hit what is called deindustrialization. I like Chris Hedges' description of places like this, which is calls economic sacrifice zones, which includes sacrifice of what happens to the population in these areas that suffer things like deindustrialization. Now let's look at the term zombie. What do we think in our collective psyche when we think of zombies? Besides eliciting fear or some sort of mystery or some sort of paranoia, it also really implies certain things in our psyche, the way we approach it, right? It's dead. It's of no value for rehabilitation. There is no zombie movies for the most part where things are being rehabilitated, fixed, and coming back to life with any sort of meaning. It doesn't have a soul, okay? It can contaminate you. That's not what we have in Kensington, Philadelphia. We have a serious substance abuse issue coupled with many years of public policy and economic policy that have completely wreaked havoc in that area. And like other areas, such as Kensington, Philadelphia, one of the common problems that you see present themselves is poverty, homelessness, crime, substance abuse, and here it is being seen in a very extreme, radical fashion. But when you come out and describe it as such in the ways that we have seen in social media, in the 21st century, you are stigmatizing, you are dehumanizing, okay? You are oversimplifying, you are causing fear. What other situations would you think you would see that kind of thing in? During war, where we live by slogans that are empty, meaningless, and meant to mobilize the masses towards an effort that usually is not the actual reason why you're sending thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions to their slaughter. So we're essentially using war slogans, both in our public policy characterization of a really serious human condition issue, and in the social media characterization and depiction of what's actually going on. And what you're declaring when you do that is, I'm not interested in complex, mobilized, total public efforts at resolution and maintaining a positive status quo in the future. In some ways, maybe you're just looking for votes by such kinds of characterization, right? And in that same sense, one of my biggest fears is, as the politicians who are trying to seek votes sort of catch on to those sorts of characterizations and use those slogans to run their platforms and get into office, their hand is sort of forced to take draconian, non-evidence-based steps to remain in office and continue their secure position. What would that look like? Well, here's one thing it could look like, and we have already seen words as such coming out of the mayor of San Francisco in the last couple of years. Now, you might all of a sudden turn around and talk about a mental health, an economic and social issue that needs complex collective action to resolve, in addition to really utilizing our humanity, our kindness, and our empathy to solve. And you're actually reducing it into a war slogan. And what are the suggestions? Well, we've seen it in the past. War on drugs, right? Let's clean the whole place up. Let's criminalize. Let's get the police in there, and let's put people in jail. And when you do, and when you take those sorts of actions, and you recruit the public into facilitating your behavior that will cause more havoc, more substance abuse, more economic instability, more mental health issues, and more children that are sort of in the periphery of all of these actions that are going to suffer from adverse childhood events that will lead to more substance abuse, more mental health problems, more physical problems, and eventually the fantasy, which was originally sold off as an illusion that has now become a delusion, will hit a wall, and we will all pay the price. Thank you very much. Hope to see you guys soon. Please don't forget to press the like and subscribe button. Peace.